Hey guys, today I want to talk with you about a new talent that I found. I didn't found it for myself, and sorry for my bad English or accent or grammatical failures. I'm not a native speaker, so I try my best. The talent I want to show you today is called Deeply Rooted Elements. It's on the last row from your restoration tree, and it means that casting Riptide has a 7% chance to activate Ascendance for 6 seconds. So what that means is basically you have 3 Ascendance procs. At a 7% rate, that's around, in my experience actually, it's around 1 proc per minute, but it's not consistent. Sometimes you get 2 procs in a row, sometimes you get just 1. I had a boss fight where I had 5 procs, 5 usages, sorry. One time I used it, and 4 times there was a proc. And I think this talent is pretty strong because it allows you to play a little bit different than the last seasons before. So basically, this is the usual talent tree, and I really dislike Chain Heal. It's a great spell. You can use it very well in raids, in my opinion. But for Mythic Plus, there are some other builds that are viable. That's my personal preference. It's not something that I can show you with data, but that's not the thing of the video. The point of the video is to show you a different build that makes a lot of fun in keys and helps you to get out of the situation that we have as Resto Shamans now since 4 seasons, since the whole expansion, almost one build. In season 2 there were some people who tried the AA-PTC build. That's something like this. Set High Tide, you play Primal Tide Core, you drop that point and use it either here for increased Riptide duration, or you can use it for Master of the Elements to have a little bit more damage output. In this tree, or better to say in Season 2, P Wave was pretty strong. Primordial Wave into a Cleave with Cloudburst Totem. There were a lot of Shamans who played AA-PTC pretty well and executed it also in raid very well. However, in Season 3 this was also the build that was playable because of our Riptide buffs we had. Riptide was pretty strong in Season 3, and I really miss the fact that we don't have a strong Riptide. So, how I started into the season, I started with AA-PTC. I didn't even touch Chain Heal once because I have to be honest, I can't execute the phases very well with Chain Heal. That's the reason why I dislike Chain Heal and why I think it's not worth in Mythic Plus. It's my personal preference. Although I know there are a lot of people who got titled the last 3 seasons with Chain Heal build, so it's not bad. I, for myself, just dislike Chain Heal and I don't like to play it. So that brings me to the next point. Resto Shaman is a pretty good class and it has a lot of variety in your builds. You can now, since 2 seasons, you can also play Living Stream because our Healing Stream totem was buffed. In higher keys, it's still better to play with Cloudburst totem because of the burst heal that you can generate with it. But however, there are some dungeons, in my opinion, like Brackenhide, where Healing Stream shines. And I need to try Healing Stream on Kajin, but this is something that I want to discuss in another video. So the point is, I played with AAPTC and I didn't like it. Even Ancestral Awakening had a very great heal output. I didn't feel like it was rewarding anymore because we don't have that strong Riptide. Neither we have something like I said in season 2, which buffed your primordial wave cleave. So the only thing that we now have is a 20% crit increase when you drop your totem and 10% more heals at all. 10% more healing at all. So that means you don't get rewarded longer for spreading riptides or doing something great with riptide. That that led me to a point where I timed 14s last fortified week without any problem, and this week I had to struggle sometimes even at 12 or 13 keys. I know I'm not a good player. Either I thought I could easily handle 40s or 14s or 15s. However, I failed at some points last week and I got bored. In Season 3 there were some builds where you could play exactly something like this. And this is what my friend whispered me, that he is playing actually some 11s and 12s and he has a lot of fun with this build because he can do a little bit more damage, and also the procs with deeply rooted elements are insane. And because I was bored, I tried it out, but I didn't like this approach here, especially because of Torrent, because I tried it already and Torrent doesn't help you really at all with your healing. So I switched these 2 points into improved P-Wave. And my last point I took away from Master of the Elements and put it into continuous waves. So I had all 30 seconds a little CD and could cleave my primordial wave into healing wave. The advice that some very good Resto Shamans already give you all the time. They say cleave with undulation and all that stuff. So the build was born, I would say. However, I tried it out and I have to say I was surprised how good this build felt. The thing here was I didn't left any points at all because Ancestral Awakening is more a single target cleave that can help you. It's, as I said, pretty strong, but you don't miss anything if you put your point into deeply rooted elements, from my experience. Actually, that's the last breakdown of Wholesome Fusion 14. We timed this key with 0 deaths, and as you can see, my ascendance did overall like 7.2% of my healing. A lot of overhealing, but I don't care. And I think these are the procs when I can read this correctly. However, Ascendance was my strongest healing after Cloudburst on the 5th place, and a place before Ancestral Guidance. And if you look at the overall usages and activations, you can see Ascendance got a total of 27 usages. If I remember correctly, Halls is... What's the time of Halls? 32 minutes, something like that. I'm not sure. It's around 30 minutes. So in a perfect environment, you can use Ascendance 10 times, 11 times if you can execute it very well in the whole duration. But we finished the key in 29:36, so the best what I could even do was 9 usages. and I think I used it very often. However, I had a total of 27 activations and a base uptime of 3 minutes and 31 seconds. So that means this spell got activated around, I'm so bad at mathematics, got activated around 18 times. And if we look at the boss fights, Irideus, 187k healing overall. I had 3 usages, so it's 27 seconds. 1 activation of Ascendance from Deeply Rooted Elements is 6 seconds, so it means 12 seconds plus 1 activation from myself, 15 seconds, so I'm at the 27 seconds. That means Irideus procced it twice. Then we can go trash before. We had a total duration of 4 minutes and 3 usages. That's, if I would use it by myself, I would have 3 times 45 seconds. Yeah. If I used it twice, I would have 30 seconds. So I used it once, 15 seconds, and twice it got activated. So a total again of 27 seconds. Then we can go to Goliath's Trash. Again, 3 usages and the same picture. Once I activated it and 2 times it procced. Then we go to Goliath, the frog boss, and here you can see 5 ascendants. So 5 times 6 would mean 30 seconds. This doesn't match. 4 times 6 would mean 6, 12, 8, 24, plus my 1 activation. That means you are at 39 seconds, so that means I activated it once and got 4 procs. Then Kajin Trash, before the healing check. 3 Ascendants, I never used it once, but it procced 3 times. I think 2 times in a row, if I remember correctly. And then Kajin, I had 23 seconds. 6 seconds, 12, 18, that doesn't match, but 15 and 2 times would mean 27, so I think I got it once, 1 activation, and a few seconds after that there was the second activation, or in a bad moment the activation was during the cooldown of my own ascendance. I don't know if I read this correct. However, Kajin was bad healed from my side. I used way too much healing surge because I fell behind and I had then some struggles at around 40% to keep the group alive until I had my ancestral guidance back. Then it was good again. And then the last trash pack, there was 33 seconds for Ascendance. 3 times are 18 seconds. 3 times procced. 1 time activated from myself. 33 seconds. And then Primal Tsunami. Last boss, I got 1 activation because you don't have to heal really. So this sounds amazing at some points, and at some points it sounds meh. However, I found out it's not very consistent as you thought, because it's RNG and we don't know how RNG affects. Blizzard has already told that they fixed it, and I think in the long term, as I said, if you look at the 29 minutes that we had, I had a total of 27 activations in Ascendance. So it's something around 1 minute, 1 proc per minute. This was 2 runs before, where I tried it, I think, in 15 I'm not sure. And here's Goliath. I had to heal way more because the group was not the best. And here I had three ascendance activations. One I activated for myself and 2 procs. And that was in 3 minutes 33 seconds, and the other fight was 3 minutes 54 seconds, but 2 activations more. And try before, here you can see how bad this group was. I had to heal way more. Here I had a total of 4 usages. 2 times I had to use it for myself, 30 seconds, and 2 times I had a proc. And here is an attempt at Magma Tusk. I had 4 procs, 4 activations, 37 seconds, 6, 12, 18, 24, 18. I think it was 3 procs and 1 activation. Then you are around this mark, and that's in 1 boss fight. And here's Chargav. Here I had 27 seconds, so 1 usage, 2 procs. And I think this was the try where we failed because I don't know what happened. I think it wasn't a healer issue, it was something else. I don't know. Here I had a total of 2. I had 1 activation for myself, 15 seconds, and 1 proc, 6 seconds. However, I didn't try it just halls, I tried so many other keys, and I timed this week with this build, I think 15 Knockhood, 15 Azure Vault, 15 Brackenhide, and this was, I'm not sure, I think it was without deeply rooted elements. And I timed halls 14 with deeply rooted elements, and what did I time else? The other 3 I didn't even play this week. Okay, so I had to prove for myself this build works, and I think this build is also pretty strong in Brackenhide, but you have to tweak it. And this is a general advice that I found out actually with this build. There are 4 dungeons this season. 4 if you don't count Algatar because of the bombing phase at Vexamus. But if you don't count Algatar, there are 4. Otherwise, okay, let's say there are 5 dungeons where you need your P-Wave cleave at all. You need that short cooldown, otherwise you can't keep up the group with this build. So, in general, you can use this exact build here for the dungeons that you know there are some short or let's say if you know the dungeon bosses have always like a 30-second cycle before damage happens, you can play this build. Otherwise, if you can focus a little bit more on damage and the encounters don't need your P-Wave, you can play something like this. Celestial Awakening and Master of the Elements, for example, in Brockenhide. It's also pretty strong in Azure Vault. And I think, what was the last one? Oh, Knockhood, right. In Knockhood you can also play this build here. Because none of the bosses have 30-second CD before a big AoE happens. So you are pretty solid to play this build. If you don't like Master of the Elements, you can still play PTC, Primal Tide Core, but then you just don't have your P-Wave. And I think the reason why some of you dislike this build is because I heard a lot of comments like, yeah, it's totally RNG, I can't base my healing on RNG. And yes, you're right, but it's not RNG at all. It's, in my opinion, actually, it's like a nice touch that you can have procs. And for some reasons, the procs happen at a lot of times in the right moments. There are also some reasons that people dislike this build, and it's this talent here, Earth Living Weapon. And trust me, I also don't like this talent, but I have to skill it because it's the cheapest way to get into deeply rooted elements. Otherwise, you need to put 2 points here, then 2 points here, then you have a total of 5 points until you have deeply rooted elements. And so with this way, you have 3, 4 points, and these are these 3 points and the point from Master of the Elements, which you can take away and go this path. I also tried improved Earth Living Weapon. I think it's not a bad. It's not bad to spend the points there. If you look at your overall, it does a little bit more than Healing Rain, and sometimes even more than Ancestral Guidance. But you are way better with Undercurrent, because with Undercurrent you get rewarded for spreading Riptides, and it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 5 Riptides spreaded, every Riptide helps you to heal more. So that means you can have a total of 5% more healing, and if you are a healing stream enjoyer, because I also like healing stream, I think it's not in every dungeon possible to play with healing stream, but as I said before, Brackenhide is great for this build, and what I experienced so far, Brackenhide is a great dungeon for living stream. So the only thing that changes here is you can play living stream instead Cloudburst, and you can go this path, or you can go something like this for Brackenhide damage, or you go into PTC, or as I said, you have your 30 seconds P-Wave CD all the time. This is the build I can recommend if you need to heal big AoE phases from bosses where the phases are always on a 30 second CD. And this one I can recommend you if you want to go big damn. If you don't care at healing at all, like Brackenhide or Azure Vault is also a good choice with this. What you need to understand with this build is it doesn't take you away any healing CD, it doesn't take you away any healing, you don't get any disadvantage of it, but you get a lot of advantage of it, in my opinion, if you just forget that you skilled deeply rooted elements. Just think about it can happen, it doesn't need to happen. If it doesn't happen, nothing happens to you. You don't do bad healing, or less healing because of that. And if it procs, you are pretty safe, in my opinion. It's happened now a lot of times when I was off stream that I dropped Link, pressed Riptide, and then I got my deeply rooted elements activated, and the whole group was topped, and etta GG. What do you need more as a healer? But as I said, don't rely too much on your procs. Play your rotation as you would ever play it. Don't count until you get the next proc. Just play, enjoy your class, and then when the proc comes, you're getting so rewarded and you're so happy about that. Yeah, I hope this helps. It gives you some inspiration to go into new waters, have fun pushing keys, enjoy your class, and don't forget, shamans are the most fun healing class in this game. Bye bye.